Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 2 of What If Naruto was a Fuinjutsu master that created his own Sage Mode. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the new series over on Anime Symbol of What If Naruto had all Blood Demon art from Demon Slayer guys. And also if you're new, yes I indeed have 3 more channels that I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this? Begin now guys. So the last part we left off, Naruto Uzumaki, a very special child, was going to make history. Yes, he was going to make history. The boy was a very smart child. Very smart. From a young age, he took to Fuinjutsu. Fuinjutsu was a lost art. While it was still around, the reason why it was a lost art, he was speaking of the more greater parts of Fuinjutsu. Nowadays, only things that were used were basic sealing techniques in terms of barriers and maybe explosives, but the true lost art of Fuinjutsu that was hailed in the past as something extravagant. That is what he was talking about, that part of Fuinjutsu. Here he was, in an open field. Naruto, despite being young, had come a long way, as he was performing something rather extravagant. Massive golems with a reanimation paper on them that brought them to reality by Naruto Chakra as he created those special Fuinjutsu tag. They boxed around him in a very powerful circle as they used the chakra that was gifted to them by him to activate their area as Naruto activated the internal seal. The seal proceeded to work just as he expected, and it was going perfectly until something went badly wrong. There was a clash of purple and green. Naruto was trying to strengthen himself. His altercation with Sasuke Uchiha at the academy had all of the others laughing when he was easily defeated, so he was trying to empower himself with the natural energy of the world. However, he was dealing with forces that he just did not understood that well, as Naruto ended up creating something, as he brought a force into reality that was never there to begin with. Every single summoning animal felt it as a force break into reality and spread. Naruto was heavily damaged, so much so that he was seemingly dead. Hiruzen and envoys arrived. However, he was brought back to the land of living by this energy that healed him and restarted his heart. Hiruzen rushed him to the hospital. Everything was fine, but when Naruto came to, Hiruzen was angry. He let this go on, as Naruto always promised him that he would not do anything stupid, so Hiruzen allowed this to go on time after time again, and even supplying Naruto with a few things that he might need. However, Naruto doing this angered the man greatly, as he had his envoy go to Naruto's apartment and took everything that had to do with Fuinjutsu. He told him that he would not get them back until he thought that he was responsible enough, and right now he was definitely not. Naruto was rather angry at that, as he was forced to go to the stupid academy, where he came across Ino Yamanaka. He met Ino some time ago, as he found her crying the fact that Sasuke did not like girl with long hair, and she wanted to grow out her hair, but she didn't want to cut it. He called her pathetic, and ever since then, she's been trying to one-up him. Naruto found something strange while he was talking to her, as his body reacted strangely. In terms of a strange energy, he proceeded to walk away, but she found him and told him that she will tell Iruka. So he took her hair clip and tell her that he will give her back as long as she didn't say anything. Making his way towards the forest, Naruto found that his body was imbued with a strange, unnatural energy that could do a lot. As he realized that this was his creation, he basically created how to be a sage. He created his own sage mode. Naruto was delighted beyond so, but he ended up destroying Ino's ear clip by accident. Returning back to her, she was rather upset with him and forced him to buy her a new one. He begrudgingly agreed. She noticed the way people looked at him. She had noticed before. She figured that it was him that was doing something, but this time, he didn't do anything. He told her to drop it though, as he did not care much for them. She did not like the color that he picked. However, later on, she did go back and return it, just to get the color that he had picked. As Naruto made his way home. For the following months that passed by, Naruto found himself growing in strength greatly. The energy that was coursing through him was different than anything. It was even different than chakra. Far different. As he empowered himself, it was his sage mode that he called it. As he spent the remainder of time working on that, he found himself able to use the natural energy to carve seals in nothing but mid-air, as he did not need ink anymore. However, he wasn't a pro, so it would take some time for him to learn and how to properly control this form of energy. So yes, that was coming along great though. When the day finally came to perform the test, Naruto had no problem. He simply put limiters on himself, which was rather easy, given the fact that Hiruzen had to tell him about the 9 tails when Naruto came across a seal. He also believed that the fourth was his father, but that was a rabbit hole that he was not ready to go down at the moment. The man had sealed the 9 tails inside of him, which led to the village despising him, as he was not about to venture down that path just yet. As for the seal, Naruto was able to suppress his chakra so that he could use the clone technique. Later that night, we find Naruto in the forest training, but Mizuki was stealing the forbidden scroll as he came across Naruto, and that was his big mistake of telling Naruto about the 9 tails there, trying to trick him up, but Naruto did not really care. As it ended up, the both of them got into a battle. Mizuki thought that this was going to be quick, but he was grossly underestimating Naruto, and he later found that out after. Naruto shattered almost every bone in his body and broke every single ribs. Mizuki found himself in agony as he tried to stab Naruto in the head, but Naruto gave him another punch that left him unresponsive. As Iruka arrived, not knowing if he was dead or alive. However, the energy that Naruto was using, it was spiraling and clashing with the very essence of the energy that was coursing through the planet, nature itself. Whatever Naruto had created, it was violent and extremely powerful. So yeah guys, basically let's play it off. You guys can switch across to the play check for yourself. So we jump right into this brand new episode. Begin now guys. After getting my headband, I went to the forest and I was training. When I heard something as I was heading back, I saw Mizuki killed another Chunin. After telling him that he's the only one that is going to get what he deserves, he then threw a Fuma shuriken at me. He then went on to tell me that I'm a monster and that I am the 9-tailed fox. And we fought, and I won, said Naruto. Both Naruto and Hiruzen was in the office, as Hiruzen was having Naruto explain to him what happened with his altercation with Mizuki. Iruka told me that when he arrived, he saw a strange aura surrounding you. was that the Hiruzen did not finish his sentence as Naruto knew what he was talking about though. No, it wasn't. Then what was it? Hiruzen asks. Naruto released a breath. I guess that you were going to find out sooner or later. What's going on? Hiruzen said, trying to get an explanation out of Naruto. You remember some time ago when you arrived to see the field destroyed and I was burned to a crisp. How could I forget? Now tell me what's going on. I am, geez, said Naruto. It turns out that my work did not fail as I thought. It just took a longer while to develop. What do you mean? You never asked me what I was exactly doing, so let me tell you. I was trying to absorb the nature energy that is coursing through the planet. Hiruzen swiped a hand down his face, looking exhausted. I had no idea that you were doing something so stupid. It is even worse than I thought, Hiruzen said. I thought your seal had simply malfunctioned. But you were trying to absorb nature energy. Have you any idea how volatile nature energy is? Your whole body could turn to stone and never return back to normal. You're lucky that you pulled out of that. Wait. Did you say the efforts came in later? Well, I did something unbelievable. Something that will put my name in the history book for sure. Explain, now Hiruzen said. I created my own nature energy, therefore creating my own sage mode. Hiruzen looked at Naruto, an amused look on his face. Enough with your nonsense. Tell me what you really did, Hiruzen said, not believing the child. Naruto got off the couch with a smile on his face. Hiruzen watched as a strange black marking appeared on Naruto's forehead and ran down over his eyes and beneath it. Suddenly, as he held his hand out, a strange purple wave. It came from his depths of his core and swallowed him. The ground cracked violently. The couch was thrown back into the wall as the entire tower shook from the power alone oozing out of his body. Hiruzen was shocked as he couldn't believe what he was looking at. So much emotions running through his face as he looked at the young boy that did something that should be impossible, as Naruto smirked at him. So, what do you think? Time skip. Things didn't go as Naruto thought. Hiruzen banned him from using that mode. As Naruto became rather upset, his crown achievement, his greatest accomplishment, and the man wanted to stop him from using it. However, he told him that it's not forever. He is going to call in someone, an actual expert in sage energy, to make sure that what he's doing won't harm him physically in the future, as there could be certain backlash that affect him on a more dangerous scale. Looking into things, Naruto realized that the old man was just worried about his safety. In return, he handed over back his stuff for Fuinjutsu. Well, with the promise that he did not and never do something so stupid without his permission, as Naruto made him a promise that he would not. Therefore, he got all of his stuff back. While he did tell the old man that he wasn't going to use the sage energy, well, he lied. He couldn't help himself. He's not going to use it for any trivial matters, but just to further enhance it and also mix it with his Fuinjutsu. He understood the old man concerned about his health and his safety, but it was just fine. Naruto was making his way as Ino was there, standing right at the entrance of the academy. She saw him. She folded her arms. Waiting for me, said Naruto. Tuh, of course not. I was just wondering if you were going to show up or not. But that does mean you were waiting for me. No, it doesn't, she said. I wanted to see if you fail or not, given that I did not see you leave. I left early, said Naruto. And by the way, no, I did not fail, he said, pointing toward his headband. But I see that you made it, said Naruto. I hope this means that you will take your training seriously and stop being nothing but an idiotic fangirl. I'm not idiotic, she said to him. Nothing to say about the fangirl part though. Shut up, she said. I didn't know why I bothered waiting here. As she turned to walk away, however, Naruto grabbed her hand, surprising her. He did not usually start physical contact. He pulled her towards him as Ino found herself inches away from him. His eyes looked towards her with the utmost serious gaze. I'm serious, he said, looking at her. If you don't take your training seriously, you'll die. Being a kunoichi is not a joking matter. Do you understand me? It was the first time that he spoke to her in such a manner. It wasn't that he was serious. It was the way that he was saying it to her, like he was worried for her safety. That is how she saw it, as she was unable to respond. Naruto was told about Mizuki. While he shouldn't care about the man, after all, he did try to kill him. Mizuki died. Yes, he died. Naruto's last punch. His body was filled with internal bleeding, and he died. That was the first life that Naruto's ever took. Mizuki was trash, garbage, that tried to kill him and stole from his own village, so Naruto did not care for him, but it was the first life that he took. As much as this girl annoyed him most times, if she kept on going down this path, being a fangirl, only focusing on looks, she was going to die out there. And for some reason, that bothered him slightly. Ino did not know what to say, as she just looked at him. Do you understand me? Said Naruto. She nodded her head as he released her hand. He simply started to walk, leaving her a bit speechless, unable to properly react to the look in his eyes and the physical contact and the closeness that they share. She didn't know why she felt so overwhelmed and bothered. It took her a moment to shake it off though, as she wondered. He was right. She was going to be a kunoichi. As much as she was a daddy little girl, her father tried to let her understand how dangerous the world was out there, but all she was doing was focusing on how she looked for the sake of Sasuke, when Sasuke was always focusing on his training. But look at her. She didn't train as much. She wasn't your average girl either. She was a part of the Yamanaka clan, one of the great clans of Konoha, and she was here wasting her time, letting her clan down. All of a sudden, she now felt bad, extremely bad about her shortcomings, as she slowly made her way back to class. Time skip. Naruto did not notice that Ino seemed to be sad, as much as he worried about her losing her life out there. He really did not pay attention to people all that much, as he was simply looking through the window, gazing at the birds outside, as Aruka entered the class and started to speak. The team arrangements were followed. Going up to Team 7, where Sakura Haruno heard her name, followed by Sasuke Uchiha. She praised, followed by Naruto Uzumaki. As Naruto wasn't even paying attention, Team 7 made-up had been changed. Naruto was not the lowest scoring student in the class. He was not the dead last. That went to Shikamaru Nara. Shikamaru did not perform in the fights, always giving up immediately. And he did not do the tests, found them to be a drag, so he slept through them, except for the last test. The problem was, Hiruzen felt it would be better for him to place the boy on the team that his father was on, as all of them had offsprings, to become the next Inoshikacho. As for Naruto, while his intelligence might be great, he simply did not care for the academy. Learning about history, this and that did not concern him. However, unlike Shikamaru who simply slept, Naruto focused on his Fuinjutsu and did not bother to focus on anything academy-wise. He only did the last test, which he of course aced it to show that he knew everything. He simply just did not give it any time at all. But his grades were bad, extremely so. And since his battle with Sasuke Uchiha, where he suffered a humiliating defeat, he basically did the same of giving up every single time. So that is why he was placed on Team 7. Ino was bummed out, as Sakura was celebrating, believing that it was because she failed to get her Sasuke-kun. However, the first thing that ran on her mind was not Sasuke, but Naruto, as she was placed with Choji and Shikamaru. Teammate was Kiba, Hinata and Shino, as Naruto was still looking at the birds. As he was thinking about something, he was focusing on their wing and how they fly. As his mind was putting Fuinjutsu towards it, an idea popped in his head, a glorious idea. So lost in his thoughts that he never even noticed that everyone was making their way out. Ino glanced towards him, but she wasn't about to call out towards him, as he was focused on the outside. Left in the class, Naruto blinked as he turned around to see there was only 2 people left in the class. What the hell? He thought to himself, as he had not been paying attention. That is when he noticed the girl looking at him. If you remember correctly, her name is Haruno or something like that. He did not take stock of people, but he did hear some people last names, and he was good with faces. He just chose not to care sometimes. People say that he was arrogant. Well, most of the Hokage said that. Naruto picked himself up. What the hell is going on, he said. Where are the others? Sakura blinked confused. They left, she said. To where? To meet up with their senseis. Then why are we here, said Naruto. Because we're on the same team, and our sensei has not arrived yet. Wait, weren't you listening to anything sensei said? Not really, he said, looking away. Tch, the nerve of this guy, she thought to herself. She did not really know him that well, but he was a slacker that did not pay attention one bit. Him and Ino, she didn't know if they were friends or what, but she saw them speaking on multiple occasions. Naruto sat back down. As he reached into his pouch, he pulled out a scroll before going through hand sign, surprising the other 2. Poof! Several objects appear on the table. A small black book, another scroll, an ink pot, and 3 brushes. The both of them were curious, but they did not say anything, as Naruto kept on looking outside before writing on the smaller scroll. An idea fluttering through his mind. Naruto got lost in what he was doing, as time flew by rather quickly. The other 2 were pissed off. They did not show it that much though. Their sensei was hours late, as he finally arrived. Kakashi Hatake looked inside, his gaze first looking towards Sakura, as he could see the underlying frustration. Same for Sasuke as well. The other one, though, Naruto, was not even paying attention to him or anyone else, just writing in a scroll. Alright everyone, he said. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. With that he was gone. As Naruto was still focusing on his scroll, around 6 minutes later. Where's the other one, said Kakashi. As Sakura looked behind her, I thought he was following us. Sasuke simply shrugged his shoulders. Kakashi made his way back down to the room, where he found Naruto. As he arrived behind him and looked over his shoulder, Kakashi found himself unable to understand a few of the things that Naruto was doing. They seem so complex for one so young. However, the Hokage already briefed him on the boy. Kakashi snapped his hand right at Naruto's ear, causing the boy to look up. Huh? Who are you? I'm your possible sensei. Naruto looked around. Where did the others go? Kakashi's eyes smiled. You really get lost in what you're doing, don't you? Pack this up and meet me on the roof, he said. Fine, I'll be there, said Naruto. As he started to pack his stuff up, as Naruto arrived on the roof, he sat down. So what now? Introduction time. I want you guys to tell me about your likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams. Basic introduction, so we can get to know one another. Alright, fine, said Naruto. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, but I suppose you already know that. I like being left alone. I like working on my fuinjutsu. I dislike annoying loud people who think they know better than me in fuinjutsu, and of course they do not. My goals, dreams, well, it's pretty simple. I'm gonna become the world's greatest fuinjutsu master, and I'm gonna have my name etched in history forever for creating something that no other on this planet has ever been able to accomplish. Naruto said as he had this look in his eye to show that he was very close to that. Big admiration and dreams. You're next, Kakashi said, looking towards Sakura. She spent the next few minutes fanning over Sasuke as Naruto rolled his eyes. Sasuke, on the other hand, spoke about gaining revenge. Kakashi proceeded to inform them that they had a test tomorrow, which had a 66% chance of failure. With that, he made his way off, after giving them the location, of course. As a group disassemble, Naruto was making his way, as his head was down in his little black book, not really paying attention as he just walked, his foot guiding him toward his apartment. His hand reaching and pulling out his key, opening the door, locking the door behind him as he went to his refrigerator and pulled out a glass of juice. He walked over and sat down on the bed as he drank the juice. He then started to read what was in his book, as Naruto's idea was coming along great. Time skip. He did not look like he slept a lot, which was accurate. He barely slept, as he finished his work late last night, as he didn't even have time to try it out, because he fell asleep and woke up. As Naruto found himself at the training ground, the other two were already here. He looked around. Where's the sensei? He's not here, Sakura said. Well, that's good. I can get some more sleep. As Naruto lied down in the grass and closed his eyes. They waited for another 2 hours before, poof. Yo, Kakashi arrived, causing Sakura to yell at him that he's late. Oh, about that. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way around. They both sweat dropped, as Naruto was actually sleeping on the ground. Kakashi walked over and poked him on the forehead, as Naruto slapped his hand away. He finally brought him out of his sleeping, as Naruto looked at him and rubbed his eyes. He picked himself up. So what's this big test that you were telling us about? Well, as he started to explain, Sakura started to panic, hearing about the physical part of the test, which entailed getting a bell. Could she do it? Could she pull it off? The worst part was him saying that the one who doesn't get a bell would be sent back to the academy. The moment he said that, something popped into Naruto's head, but he would leave that for later though, as Kakashi told them to come at him with the intent to kill. Once that was said, he told him to begin. The timer was set. Naruto was the only one that did not move. Kakashi paused as he was going for his book. Didn't you hear me? Begin. Oh, I heard you alright, said Naruto. I'm just curious to see how I stacked up against a Jonin. After all, if I'm not mistaken, this is not the real reason of the test. Kakashi's gaze narrowed hearing that, but Naruto did not say anything else on that matter. He pulled out 5 pieces of papers before throwing them to the sky. Kakashi watched as Naruto brought his hand together. Poof! 5 massive boulders of stone fell to the ground before they broke apart. Kakashi was confused as he watched the piece of paper fell and landed on the largest one. That is when he felt the pulse of chakra and the stone started to move, creating 5 golems. In the tree, Sasuke was shocked. What the hell was that? Sakura was wondering the same thing. Kakashi found himself surrounded as their lower half started to spin. That is when they moved off. Their bodies were not directly touching the ground. They seemed to be hovering and their arms were not connected. The golems moved in as they tried to catch Kakashi, swinging their arms. Kakashi flipped and ducked and weaved, dodging away from them. They were fast, but not fast enough, he thought, as he was able to evade them. However, taking them down was another matter. He slammed a kunai against one of them, only to find the edge of the kunai broke. It seems the chakra funneling through it was empowering the stones, making them stronger. However, he saw the drawback. Kakashi was about to rip the papers off of them, therefore stopping the animations, but before he could, they all folded in together. As he saw Naruto on the opposite side of the field, was the kid reading his mind or something? They turned into a perfect round ball, and their speed seemed to quadruple. They move at incredible speed, destroying the place, smashing through trees. They were much faster. Kakashi found himself actually putting in effort in order to dodge as they flew over his head and crashed hard. These things were aiming to cause severe damage. That is when Naruto ran forward, rushing straight towards him. Kakashi found himself at a loss to what the kid was doing, as the stones were moving too fast. However, Naruto blindly charged in. Kakashi then saw it. They did not even come an inch close to him. They turned or moved the moment they got too close. They were in perfect synchrony. As Naruto pulled out 2 kunais, they blocked his vision, stopping Kakashi from seeing what was going on. As he understood what was going on, he had to rely on his senses. Kakashi jumped over one of them before he blocked a shuriken. However, he then noticed said shuriken. What the hell? There was a small piece of paper wrapped inside of it, inside of the finger hole. Poof! Kakashi expected something as he went on guard, but it was just smoke. Wait, this didn't make any. He snapped around as the stones, 2 of them were in mid-air. He twisted his body to dodge, but their center opened up, revealing a hail of kunais and shurikens. They pelted down where he was. However, all that remained was a piece of log. Kakashi was gone. Kakashi found himself a distance away, actually very intrigued. This child was something else. He was using those to his perfect advantage. He had to say, he was impressed. It wasn't usual that a genin made him this impressed, but he was impressed by this kid. But now what would he do? Kakashi thought. As he looked around, where was he? He thought to himself. That is when he felt something. Instincts kicked in. Kakashi turned around to see Naruto was in mid-air. What the? Before he could finish his sentence though, he noticed that Naruto had 2 small rubber balls in his hand. He released them, and suddenly, the giant, massive golems were in mid-air. Kakashi was stunned to what he saw. But what happened next truly shocked him. They exploded. Kakashi's eyes widened. Naruto was right in the center. Was this kid suicidal? Multiple stones started to shoot out in all different directions because of his guard being completely caught, as he thought that Naruto just ended himself. Kakashi was hit with one It slammed into his shoulder. Another one slammed right on his right leg. Another one slammed right in his stomach. And they were firing at incredible speed, so it was painful. However, what he didn't expect was for Naruto to burst out of the smoke. And he wasn't just falling, he was flying at tremendous speed coming down. This wasn't ordinary. Kakashi found himself suspended in mid-air with a kid that was moving at abnormal speeds. That is when he gazed down behind him as he saw the other two golems. They were on the ground waiting. It was 5 of them. Where was the last one? Kakashi realized something as Naruto poof, revealing that he was the golem as it rolled into a ball and crashed down on Kakashi. He slammed into the ground, crashing with the other two. It was rather violent. Naruto flew from the trees and descended down softly as his hands and legs seemed to be empowered. You could see the seal markings on it. This is what he was working on, to generate wind pressure in order to levitate himself. He wasn't so good at it yet, as he could barely stay in the air, given the fact that it was hard to fly, but still, he used it at his advantage. Naruto looked over towards the debris, all the destruction, when Kakashi appeared behind him. The man was just standing there, acting rather nonchalant. Naruto looked at his hand. So this is the gap between a genin and a jonin. Don't sell yourself short. It's not often that I find someone that impressed me off the bat. But you on the other hand, that fuinjutsu of yours is rather impressive. I thought you were going to blow yourself up. Well, I kind of did. However, those pieces that shoot out, they're not going out randomly. So as you can see, I'm fine, said Naruto. Oh, now it made sense he was controlling them. You on the other hand, you escape my trap so easily. I guess to you, it's going much slower than I thought. Well, I am a jonin, said Kakashi. So what now? What else are you gonna pull out? Unfortunately, I can't use that. After all, he's gonna know, Naruto said to himself. So I suppose I'll just end up passing this test by resorting to other methods. Passing this test. If I'm not mistaken, you haven't got a bell. Oh, you mean these? As Naruto held out the 2 bells in his hand, Kakashi looked down, where there was nothing. Wait, how did... He said with a shocked look on his face. My recent seals are all about wind, and the manipulation of wind. That breeze that you felt, which you believe was just a normal gust, well, you are wrong. The moment you jumped from that branch, I had you within my grasp. All I needed was just to hit you at least once, making you think that my attack was just random, but you did not really see what was truly at work here. Kakashi watched as the golem reformed, pulling itself back together, the fuinjutsu marker being used as some kind of summoner to pull it together. That is when he noticed inside of the thing was a wire, a very sharp ninja wire that Naruto had used to cut right through the string holding onto the bell. He used the ear current to push it down with enough force to cut it. And then, the golem swallowed it. And it simply spat it to the last one, who handed it to Naruto the moment he fell. Kakashi had to say he was impressed. Truly impressed. He would have never thought that the kid would be able to get the bells by himself. However, he underestimated him gravely. It wasn't just his skills, it was his mind. He had a rather powerful mind. However, that begs the question. Now that you have them, what will you do with them? Naruto tossed them back to Kakashi, who caught them, as he looked at him confused. The moment you say only one of us can pass, it had me remembering something. Something the old man told me. Konoha is about your fellow man. The will of fire. Comrade this, comrade that. As much as I don't pay attention, if there is something I could remember, it's Aruka trying to drill teammates into her head. And I've seen a team before, and I know that it's not 2 Genin and 1 Jonin. So that means you were lying. You've lied to us now on multiple occasions. How so, said Kakashi. Well, the first lie you told was not exactly told by you, but you played a part in it. You showed up late. The second lie, you told us that you will be here at 8, but you showed up at 10. So that begs the question, why should I believe you? So when I thought about it, it was really easy. You want to see if we're gonna work together or fight against each other. Tell you what, how about if I get those two to work with me without exactly telling them what the test is about? You give us a passing grade. You can listen in if you want. That would be the principle of your test. Me finding out how to pass, well, with them, without actually telling them anything. So you would know that we are going to make a good team. You say that and yet you speak so standoffish, as if you don't care, said Kakashi. To tell you the truth, I don't really care about this test. I think that it's a huge waste of time. Our team development revolves on what you do, said Naruto. So, please don't waste our time being a sucky Jonin. Naruto said as he started to walk off. Time skip. Kakashi was telling Hiruzen about everything that happened on the test today, as Team 7 was given a successful grade. They pass. He never knew that the kid was this far along. He was no average Genin. Not to mention, he was going to reinvent the term Fuinjutsu. Nowadays, people only use it for barrier and small little Fuinjutsu jobs. However, this kid was doing things that most people had long since forgotten how to do. Reanimating objects that had no will of their own. He could use that to create a literal army of stone monsters. This kid was going to be something great. Kakashi had no doubt about that, as he thought about who his father was. But that should not be what drives him. That should not be what determines what his future is. The kid has developed his own thing on his own. Hearing that, Hiruzen thought about Naruto's sage energy that he created. Jiraiya was busy at the moment, so it would take a while for him to return. However, Hiruzen, despite his skepticism, despite how worried he had to say he was immensely proud. The future wasn't looking too bad for the younger generation with Naruto moving like this. Time skip. Shikamaru Naru was confused. As he looked at Ino, he was very confused. This girl, he'd seen her on many occasions. He knew her because their parents were close. And yet, for her entire life, all she focused on was her looks. But since becoming a team, she's been asking her sensei for extra training. Even the sensei seemed rather surprised. Perhaps he heard about her previous behavior. Something seemed strangely different about her, and Shikamaru just could not place it. Why? The huge change. Maybe she finally realized that she was wasting a lot of time. However, he did not like that, because her focusing on her training now was going to make him look bad. If she told her father about this, and this got back to his mother, she is going to want him to start up his own training. And that was going to be a drag, he thought. The idea of sabotaging her came to mind, but he couldn't do that. As he lay on the grass, looking at the heavens, all he really wanted to do was become an average ninja, and then find a girl, settle down, and retire. However, he had a feeling that life was going to be hectic for some reason. As he released a heavy sigh, he didn't know why, but he had this bad feeling, especially being on a team with this new motivated Ino. This extremely motivated Ino. Time skip. Naruto had to say, officially being a genin rather sucks. The D-rank missions. He found them to be nothing but chores, a huge waste of time. The reasonable thing to do was to have the academy students do those as practices while they were in the last year of the academy. But no, you wait until they graduate to do these garbages. Team 7 wasn't really getting along either. Well, not that there was any conflict. It was just they did not talk that much. The last time they spoke a long conversation was Naruto, trying to get them to work together, which was successful in the end. However, since then, nods. Yes, no, that was all. They weren't bonding or clicking as a team. Maybe it's because they did not know each other that well. They had been in the academy together, but all Sakura did was fan over Sasuke. That was not understanding or knowing someone. Sasuke only had one goal on his mind, and Naruto seemed to not care for anyone except for what he was doing, majority of the time. Therefore, after a while, Kakashi thought it was best to push their team to the limit, to see if he could grow some structure or bond between them, by taking them out on their first C-rank mission. Time skip. They found themselves heading towards the land of Wave. Naruto had made good on his promise. Well, that is what Sarutobi believed. However, Naruto wasn't just able to harness the sage energy. It was basically a part of him now. That is why his sensory ability was extremely powerful. He could feel the animals. However, strangely enough, the energy that was surrounding him was not the same one that he had. It felt different. It felt wrong. And the energy inside of him wanted him to expand it, to increase it. He could not talk, don't get him wrong, but he could feel the understanding. It was like two opposite forces trying to clash. He had to figure out what that was about very soon, as Sakura was asking the client about what was going on for their ninja forces at their village. Naruto picked up on something before even seeing it, as he could sense the two ninjas and their chakra. Gazing towards Hatake, the man was a Jonin. Perhaps this was some sort of test. Team 7 hadn't really been getting along very well. Perhaps he was using this to see if they would work as a team. After all, he was basically the one that forced him to do that in the test. Or maybe he was overthinking things, Naruto wondered. Well, he was going to be prepared. As they walked by the puddle, Naruto watches Kakashi was torn apart, causing Sakura to scream, but her instincts kicked in as she drew her kunai and jumped in front of the client. The demon brothers split apart. Naruto watches a kunai and shuriken whip past him and pin the chain as Sasuke jumped and kicked the both of them, forcing them to dislodge. Luckily, Naruto was already done. Miyaizu rushed towards Naruto, his blade extended outwards as Naruto raised a hand, activating a seal that he placed on the ground. Naruto brought his knee up, a seal that extremely increased the gravity for a few seconds as Naruto placed his knee. So when Miyaizu came down, his face crashed against Naruto's knee. As Naruto reinforced his knee with a lot of chakra, Miyaizu was knocked out cold. Sasuke found himself face to face with the other one as he whipped out a kunai. Naruto pulled out another special seal as he threw it. He threw a kunai and embedded in a tree. As the seal activated, the metal gauntlet that Gozu had on his hand started to be pulled towards the seal. that was created for the special purposes of pulling metals. Giving Sasuke the opportunity as the man, arm was pulled apart. Sasuke jumped forward and delivered a brutal kick that snapped his head to the side. He followed up with a gut punch and then an uppercut. The seal started to pull even more, yanking him toward the tree as Sasuke, who was holding the kunai in his hand. It shoot out of his hand. Luckily for him though, well, the bad guy, that it was the bottom half that slammed into his skull, knocking him out clean, as Naruto's seal came to a stop. Both demon brothers were out cold, as Kakashi arrived in the center, congratulating them on a job well done. He was alive. Sakura realized as she looked over toward the pile of broken wood. Time skip. They decided to go along with the mission after their client broke down and told them the truth, as the man was very apologetic and also guilt-tripped them as he spoke about his daughter and his grandson who would never like Konoha ninjas ever again. So they continued the mission, as Kakashi told them all to stay alert. Naruto wanted to look into his little black book, but unfortunately they were busy. Naruto could feel every single grain of chakra in the air. His sage energy was allowing his senses to span far distances. However, he could not get why the other energy that he felt seemed to be conflicting with his own. Perhaps the energy that he created was an anomaly to them. Given the fact that it was literal power, he supposed that it had some kind of sentience, like the fox inside of him. So maybe their opposite forces were clashing against each other. But how could he fix something like that? And how dire was this? Will the normal natural energy try to overcome his and destroy it? Or will his try to overcome that? He had no idea. Maybe it was best for the time not to tap into that energy, because whenever he used it, he could feel it expanded more and more. And he didn't want to cause any major jeopardy right now that might end up even destroying this planet. Or maybe he was overthinking things, Naruto wondered to himself, as he shrugged it off, making his way. But he couldn't turn off his senses though, as he felt two people in the far distance. One of them heading in the opposite direction, the other one coming towards them. They heard a rustling in the bushes as they watched, on guard as a rabbit jumped out. That is when Kakashi shouted for them to duck, and they did hit the floor. A blade slammed into a tree. What followed, Naruto had to say that he was disappointed. Kakashi got himself caught, as he was now screaming at them to run. The water clones, the both of them that Zabuza created, could not go too far away from the wielder. Naruto threw 4 tags in the air, as 4 golems were created. If I'm not mistaken, you were the one that told us that those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. And yet, you want us to go against that direct word that you gave us. Is this another test, or are you being some kind of hypocrite, said Naruto. Kakashi didn't have anything to say to that. He was the one that told them that after bringing them towards the memorial stone. Sakura was panicking, despite being surrounded by the golems. What are we gonna do, she said. I have an idea, said Naruto. The golem raised their arms, blocking Zabuza's sight. The man was not pleased by that as he said, the water clones. Alright, number 1, you're up. The first golem rushed forward. Both of the clones jumped away rather easily, however, it exploded, shooting out rock bullets that pierced the clones, as they weren't expecting that. They both dissolved into water, as the remaining rock bullets were sliced by Zabuza as he used his blade with one hand. Pretty impressive, but they pulled back together. The paper being used as an anchor, Zabuza was forced to move himself out of the way, turning in the process. And that took a few seconds away, allowing Naruto to pull off his other move. Zabuza blinked when he noticed that the golems had securely wrapped around the kids once again, and the client. He's gonna have to cut right. Zabuza paused as he felt a buildup of chakra, but nothing happened. He was confused. That is when he felt a heat as he looked up to see a massive fireball raining down towards him. Courtesy of Sasuke. Well, Naruto was the one that was standing there though. The seal that Naruto was holding onto, it was able to absorb and redirect techniques. So Naruto had Sasuke breathe a fireball out, which he absorbed into it and then send it down towards Zabuza. The man found himself having to move quick. He threw his blade up in the air as he went through hand sign. His blade was surrounded by a swirling water that shoot upwards, clashing with the flames. The water came raining back down. That is when he saw something. He quickly sliced the Fuma Shuriken. You're gonna have to work a lot faster than that to get me, brats. Hey, Kakashi, this might hurt a bit. Kakashi saw the papers as they started to glow. Zabuza's eyes went wide. Boom! 5 of them went off. He was forced to jump away. Kakashi leaping away as well. However, he was safe from the blast due to the water spear tanking most of it. As Naruto landed nearby, you know, I could have taken him out. I could have supercharged those explosives, but it would have probably killed you. So this is your opportunity. Try not to get caught once again. Kakashi's Sharingan started to swirl. You guys did well. There's nothing to worry about anymore. I'm gonna end this right now. As another battle ensued. It seems like Kakashi was holding back earlier because this was a different monster entirely. In the end though, Zabuza was hit by needles. Naruto was away from the location, but he could feel Zabuza's life force. Still going. Calm but still there. Kakashi started to fall when the hunter named vanished. As he collapsed right on the ground, Naruto walked over towards him. Hey, are you dead? He asked. No, just tired, he said. Hey big guy, Naruto called out to Tazuna. We're gonna need your help over here. Time skip. Kakashi informed the group that Zabuza was still alive. Naruto already knew that, but he was waiting to see if Kakashi would say something, or if he would. So, they had to train. The group was confused when he said tree walking, as he explained to them with his crutches. Naruto then followed and walked up the tree with ease, surprising them. You already knew how to do this. Not really, said Naruto, but my seals stimulate my chakra quite well, so I simply copied the same amount that you use and applied it to my feet. But how did you know the amount that I use? You're not a sensei, he said. And how do you know that, said Naruto. Well, I guess you're right. I never truly asked you about that. Well, are you? Kind of, said Naruto, but seals are involved. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, said Kakashi. That is when they saw Sakura in the tree. Huh, I guess you're the only one, Naruto said, turning towards Sasuke, who grumbled angrily. Time skip. They were seated at the dinner table. Sasuke looked pretty roughed up, as he'd been working hard all night. Suddenly, you're all going to die. Whoa. Even for me, that's rather ominous. Are you gonna kill us? Naruto asked, looking towards Iniri. Iniri started to get angry as Naruto pulled out a piece of paper. He found the direct one before he threw it, as it plastered on Iniri's mouth. The child was angry as he ripped it off, but once he did, there was nothing there. Everyone started to freak the hell out as Iniri no longer had a mouth. Naruto watched their various reactions as he started to laugh, finding this rather funny. As he reached over and tapped Iniri on the head, it was just an illusion seal, he said, mixed with a suppressant seal. As Naruto chakra disabled it, Iniri ran away angry and in tears. Luckily, though, Kakashi found him that night and spoke to him, as Naruto found it rather humorful. In the back of his mind, though, he was thinking about something else. His senses were getting stronger. The range, it was getting wider. The more he used it, the stronger it was becoming. And the more he used it, the more he could feel the other nature energy pushing back against him. This was becoming a problem as Naruto went to sleep that night, unaware of the huge changes that were taking place. The next morning, when Naruto woke up, he found himself entangled. Yes, entangled. Something was wrapped around him. Something odd. Something strange. As Naruto slowly opened his eyes to find someone next to him. Someone completely enveloped in his arms. Not just anyone though, but it was a girl. And she was naked. But guys, me and subscribe right here. If you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification so you posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.